So we finished the 2 selection weekends, which were pretty tough. We had our 40 sailors and we went through a very hard job of selecting 20 sailors to then go forward as the Griffin Teams in 2024. When we looked at the sailors, we wanted to select a balanced team on each boat. So we got some people who are really good, experienced offshore sailors, and we've got some very good dinghy sailors who need to get a bit of offshore experience.
For me, this experience is really, really cool because I've done a lot of offshore, but in terms of racing, it's kind of my first official experience. And being able to do it this way with this team and all of us working together is really, really cool. Yeah, and especially as a woman sailing, I was super happy when I showed up to the selection and we were almost 50-50, and it feels really good to be part of it.
I think it's been an amazing opportunity for a load of young people to come together on a really even playing field.
The Griffin project have 2 boats given to 2 teams this season, and they're brand new boats. They're Sunfast 30s, one design boats, straight from the factory I think in La Rochelle, and they're given straight to us. And it's not like an owner-driver in the rest of the RORC fleet, it's just us. I'm 25 and I'm the skipper of the boat.
For me, the 2 best ways to learn is doing it yourself and having maybe people there and coaches to talk you through it, and that's the 2 things that we have. And since we're the first to use these boats, it's really cool, but also it means we have a lot less to work on, so it's up to us to get the numbers down, see what wind angles work best with what sails.
We're sharing the boat with one other team, so we have to be really clear. We always have handovers and job lists. We've got a boat captain, Albert, on my team is the boat captain of our boat. So after each race we do big pack down and handover, and it's all about really making sure that when we get the boat, it's in good condition, and then when we hand it over, it's also in good condition.
So we get to spread a bit of the prep work. That's one of those times that you have to come together as a team, otherwise one person can't run the whole campaign by themselves.
Having a whole day before the race, as we've had today, even 2 days, is really nice to just have your head in the game and not having to rush through tasks, and having those checklists, getting them done as a team, being in the marina together already before the race means we can talk through things in a more relaxed way.
Everybody has individual jobs. It's all divided up, and hopefully we'll be busy from the moment we wake up until the moment we cross the start line.
It's going to be a really light, tricky race for the next 24 to 30 hours. Concentration is going to be key.
All clear.
Yeah, I think especially when you're in light airs, racing as a team, you've got to work together, right? All those things that matter on a dinghy also matter on a big boat. So crew weight, moving together, all of this, we've got to work as a team to make the boat move.
The fact that it's one design, the fact that the boats are matched and we're not allowed to make any changes based on the class rule. We're preparing for the Dream Cup and we are keeping the boats absolutely identical.
Yeah, I think everyone that's involved in this initiative is competitive. We all want to win. Whilst we're all a big team, we're all part of the same thing, we do want to beat the other boat. It's a great opportunity to be in one design class where we really know if we're in front, we're in front.
These boats are built for double handing, so we're quite lucky that there's 5 of us racing. So we've gone for 2 and 2, and the skipper stays out of the system. We can sail them at high performance even with 2 people on deck.
My favourite thing about offshore racing, I think, is the freedom. I love being miles away from land but still being competitive and focusing. It's uncomfortable at times, but I also really enjoy the challenge and you get a real sense of achievement. So whilst we were doing the Myth and Malum, sun was setting, it was Sunday evening, we'd resigned ourselves that we weren't quite getting to the finish line that night, and we all sort of looked around, had a pinch me moment. There was no one looking over us and we were doing everything by ourselves, and RORC is trusting us, which we're very grateful for. Something that's really unique, an amazing opportunity and an amazing amount of responsibility. We realised this is so special and it was cool.
It's amazing, I love it so much. Everyone, we've all, this race especially, we've all kind of come together, we've known each other for a bit longer now, and it's easier to, even when you're off watch, having a bit of fun, it just keeps morale up. And yeah, I'm really loving it on board at the moment, and yeah, it's really good.
The bonding side of it, I think, is majorly critical for an offshore scenario. It's a bit different to inshore, where you're not going to face these physically difficult scenarios after having no sleep or after being exhausted or after going through loss after loss on the race course. We were 21 hours into the race coming into difficult tactical situations where we were making losses. You've got to be able to like the person who's making the mistake. You've got to be able to trust the person who's taking a risk, and those scenarios are critical. When you're all friends, it's a bit easier to tell somebody if they've made a mistake for one, And for 2, I think it's a bit easier to trust somebody if you're skeptical of their decision.
Yeah, so in light conditions, what we call the speed loop on board is your helmsman, main and sail trim, who need to always work together to keep the boat going fast. And their main objective is speed, speed, speed. And then navigator and skipper can have the bigger picture.
But as a main trimmer, I am checking with Joe how his rudder pressures, especially like on heavy upwinds or when reaching. And then also talk to Barbara, who's our head sail trimmer, so that both sails sort of align.
So the speed loop is a really important aspect, especially in the light winds. When you start to get tired, you've really got to make sure to kind of keep that constant communication going. When you start to drop away from it, you can lose boat lengths like that. So I think just for us to manage the communication, keep our sail trim active is a very important thing as well.
I think one of the big takeaways from this race for me was fine trimming on the jib. And we had a lot of time with all sorts of angles because the wind was very shifty. Having someone else jump on it at a different time, then you take over and they give you the handover and they say, right, these are the few things that I was looking at, your turn, and then we have a discussion after to see who thought what and if we agreed or disagreed. And that really helped to learn the fine tunes and what worked.
Like personal takeaways, it was I think one of the shortest races I did, and I learned a lot about myself, like how much sleep do I need in 24 hours to sort of function, what's sort of my comfort level, and I've talked about it with our skipper Matt as well. And then the other thing is like food is a big one for me, so I've learned that I want a stronger breakfast, even if it's earlier than my normal breakfast. As a team, it was very interesting because we were constantly together with 4 or 5 other boats, and so we were constantly trimming, staying in the race mode, even when there was no wind at all. So we were quite pushing each other, learning a lot about, okay, what can we adjust, what's working, what's not working, and that making a gain can be a loss 20 minutes later, and to stay like flexible and on the lookout.
A lot of it was being honest with each other and yourself. If you start to feel it going wrong, kind of forget about it, talk about it and solve it as quick as you can. Identifying the problem much quicker solves it much quicker.
Yeah, getting to know your team is number one, like super important. Knowing who's going to react well, how to have the best discussions and make decisions quickly, decisively, but making sure everyone's happy. So that's something now every race we keep moving forwards to. Yeah, it's really nice to have that progression. Now the boats are starting to feel more like home.
I think throughout the process, being mixed with people of a similar age group, but such a variety of different skills, has really taught me to pull out the skills from my crew. You know, some people often sit there and are not too vocal with their skills they have, but you've got a sailmaker that works Monday to Friday on the shop floor and knows everything about sail trim and cutting sails. So having those people on board and pulling that information out of them that are useful to make the boat go faster.
I took the role of bow, so obviously offshore doesn't leave you that much to do, and we had Ian Walker on our boat for the training weekend, and he basically said I'm sort of almost a wasted talent sat on the bow and that I should be way more involved, and he pushed very hard to let me be nav. Navigation for me is like a really interesting challenge, so much to think about, something you can really focus on for the whole race and just constantly assessing, changing, rethinking, discussing, just working on as a team.
Yeah, just quite naturally we all fit into roles pretty well. There's definitely space to float around, which is also cool, especially for someone like me who kind of wants to learn everything.
The big takeaway from the Guingand Bowl was the improvements that we made in terms of fleet management. It was a real beauty for us. There was lots of beating, lots of technical, tactical sailing, and as a result, lots of opportunity for us to learn better fleet management, lots of opportunity for us to make the mistakes, and thankfully in the end, lots of opportunity for us to make gains. We're all truly getting on as friends, and I think, to be honest, I think we've got some friends for life here on the programme. 3 races isn't enough. We would love to keep sailing together and keep going forwards as a team because we feel like we've learned so much together. We're all getting on, sincerely getting on really well. Yeah, I'm going to miss it when it's over.
So this year we've had some great support from RORC obviously, but also the commercial sponsors. So North Sails, Boat Folk, Marlow Ropes, Ocean Signal are all been key partners. And obviously we'd love more. So if you'd like to support the project commercially or individually, please get in touch.